And welcome back to another episode of The Credit Authority. Once again, I am your host, Rhonda Gulch, and I'm so glad that you tuned in today. Before we get started with our segments, we always want to thank our sponsors. So thank you so much to Equity First. If you are experiencing credit and or financial challenges, feel free to reach out to any one of their trained professionals. They are bilingual nationwide and they are waiting for your call. They can be reached at 631-714-4822. And I apologize for laughing, but our next guest, Ted Kritikos with Compass, is here, and I'm only laughing because we're having some technical malfunctions in the studio. So
I wouldn't call it technical malfunctions. I just don't know how to handle a microphone. That's what it is, Rhonda.
All of a sudden I'm watching you and the mic is moving around and then you're holding the mic. I'm like, let's just see how far we can get. So yeah. I'm glad we've got that behind us.
Yeah, we put it back in the stand. I would have liked holding the mic. I felt like a rapper. It was nice, but here we are.
You were having a moment.
I was enjoying it, but...
So obviously being in the studio is a little different than knocking doors and working with buyers and sellers right now. So hopefully this will bring you 10 minutes of joy.
Yes.
Because I know the market right now for a lot of people is not, it's just not a great place. So I know that your office is out in Syosset. How's the market out there?
The market is, it's a unique market. There are certainly challenges that both buyers and sellers are facing right now. And we're doing our best to help them on both sides. Obviously, you're in the industry, you know that limited inventory is still here on Long Island. It's definitely a challenge for buyers. And we're just trying to help our buyers put their best foot forward and be able to hopefully, win some homes out there.
Right now, we've had some devastating news about several banks that have closed. Has that impacted, obviously, where you are located? It is more of a higher net worth, community.
Yep.
Has that news impacted any of the decisions that your buyers or sellers have right now?
Yes, I would say for the buyers, buyers are doing their best to be as well informed as possible. As you look into these two situations with Signature and SVB, they're pretty unique as opposed to some other larger banks. Their exposure to certain types of business put them in the place that they're in right now. So as people learn more and more about that, they're being less and less afraid of what happened in 2008 happening again now. But certainly for sellers, it's something that's on their mind because, certain buyers who maybe are not as sophisticated, it's just another thing that they're thinking about. And so you have, two banks that are failing. You have rising interest rates. You have rising inflation. You have potential recession looming. It's a lot of factors for someone to be juggling in their head. So, it's a cause of concern for some buyers and obviously for some sellers because they don't want to lose out on someone who maybe gets cold feet as news like this might hit the market.
Are you finding that the clients that you're working with now are more, we'll say, first-time home buyers, people that are going into their second home, or people that are actually scaling back?
Yeah, so it's a combination. So on the seller side, the sellers that we're working with right now are typically downsizing, scaling back, or moving, to a different state, and that's for a pretty good reason. If you consider where a seller's at, assuming that they haven't paid off their home, they're typically locked into an interest rate that's much lower than we're seeing now. Mm-hmm. So for potential sellers, the thought process going through their head is, am I really about to give up my 3%, 3.5% interest rate for something that's nearly double if I buy a new home on Long Island? So that's one issue there. As far as buyers go, we are seeing a lot of first-time home buyers, and I would say that it's a lot easier working with them right now, if for no other reason than the current market is all they know. All they know is that 6%, 6.5% interest rate. Someone who's been through the rodeo once before, they're looking at homes, they're seeing what their money's getting them, and they're saying, is this real life? And you kind of have to have that conversation where, you have to live in the reality that we are in right now, not the way that things should be.
I'm dealing with that even myself. I'm a little spoiled being in the industry. I'm going to date myself because I got started in the industry in 1996, so a little bit more than 26 years ago. So even myself, sometimes when I'm looking at my own transactions that I'm doing, I feel like that's not going to be me, right? And I think a lot of the other people that I speak to are dealing with the same thing. And I'm looking at even investment properties and investments that I would normally pull the trigger on because of the purchase price. I am actually pausing because the cost of the money and the holding makes it unrealistic, right? It's just not keeping up. Are you working with any, or are you seeing any investor pullback right now?
Yeah, 100%. So, the thing with investors is they're looking at the purchase price of these homes. And even if it's a home that obviously needs significant work, and let's say they're, fix and flip investors, they realize that, they're going to be cutting it pretty close to the bone between interest rates and the money they're sinking the house to renovate it. So it's challenging for them. They know that if they find something and they're able to get a good price, they're going to have to get it back on the market pretty quickly because of the holding costs. Obviously, this changes if they can get things off market, but if they're finding anything on the MLS, that it's a pretty tight squeeze to get to where they need to be, to where they're making actual margins here.
Now, we know that when the market tightens up, you have a lot of people that stay in the industry and you have people that leave the industry. It looks like you're the guy that's going to be sticking around for a while. Tell me a little bit about your power partners and who you work with on a daily basis to keep you moving and in the grind.
Yeah, 100%. I think, it's always good to have a team. And I'm part of a team called the Macalusa Group at Compass Real Estate, and we have 15 agents on our team. And that's a major selling point for me when I'm going to any homeowner's house and trying to pitch them, or even buyers, because we have a great team of people who have, multidisciplinary experience. So within our real estate team, we have people who are excellent with dealing with the town. They have contacts of expediters and contacts at the town office. We have folks that are experts at home staging. We have folks that are experts in marketing. My background is marketing. I was in technology sales and marketing sales for the last 10 years before I got into real estate. So it's great to have those people around you because they can help you navigate the waters. And certainly when you have agents on your team that have over 30 years of experience, that helps as well. So, they allow you to really understand that, the market goes through cycles. And as long as you keep your head down and you're doing the right things are cyclical. They always come back around.
And, and I love the fact that you're mentioning that, because I'm watching people who are paralyzed, right? So, I'm watching people jump because they have families to take care of. And I 100% understand that feeling of anxiety. So we are focusing on, building relationships right now. What are you doing to keep yourself relevant? And I'll even use the word busy during a time where there's no longer a 2.5 hour wait to get into, an open house.
100%. I think, it comes down to marketing and both traditional and untraditional methods of marketing. So for me, getting a lead is fantastic. That's a conversion for me. But I think about micro conversions every single day. What's a micro conversion to me? Maybe going to the coffee shop and someone who's seen me there 3 times says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I'm like, let's get into a conversation. To me, that's a micro conversion. Now someone else knows what I do. Beyond that, it's the daily marketing. It's, posting to social media, trying to be helpful where I can be helpful. I do jujitsu, 3-4 times a week. And, now all of a sudden people in my academy, they come up to me and say, "Hey, Ted, what's going on with the market?" So they've seen me for months and months being, working out there, but now they're actually leaning in because they know, hey, Ted comes in from work every other day and he sees what's going on. Let's ask him some questions. So, it's being present, it's being accessible, putting your best foot forward from a marketing standpoint. And that's really the best you could do at this time.
So if somebody is approaching you and they are thinking that they want to purchase on Long Island, walk me through how you're pre-screening the clients and getting them ready to show them property.
Yeah, so number one, I'm helping them understand exactly what that entails. So from beginning to end, what the home buying process looks like. The second thing that we're going to discuss is getting all their ducks in a row. So I want to make sure that when I'm taking on a client, you've met with a lender, you know exactly how much you could spend, what your monthly bill's going to be, how much home you can afford, that you're beginning to understand, okay, I'm going to need an attorney. Let's figure out who that attorney is. Ted, do I need to give you a referral, or do you have your own attorney? Same thing goes for an inspector. Are you going to use an inspector used in the past, or do you need a referral from me? And the reason for that is, since there is low inventory, since it is still a competitive market, when we're putting in offers, I'm going to make sure that we have all our ducks in the row and we're putting our best foot forward. That, you know, the person on the other side of that deal, they knows, hey, you're serious. You've already thought about all these things, and I know if I work with you, I'm not going to be chasing you around for paperwork or chasing you around to get your inspection done. You have a good grasp on your buyer. And for the buyer, it's, you know, again, I mentioned this earlier in the segment, it's making sure that they understand the reality that we currently live in, that you kind of have to suspend disbelief a little bit in this market. If you want to get a home, that doesn't mean you should make stupid decisions with your money, but just know the competitive environment that you're going into. And if it's too hot for you in one area, maybe come down in price range, maybe look in other towns. But in order to put your best foot forward, you're going to have to compete with multiple offers still.
Which I am seeing this still every single day. You know, there are properties that I look at, and there are communities which I myself look at for investing purposes. And just sometimes you feel like the market is just not going to get any better, or, can it really get any worse? And we go back and forth. And I think the decision making for even somebody that's experienced like myself is a struggle. And then having people like yourself in my circle obviously makes my job a little bit easier. It makes it also easier for me to network with you, right? As well as my other power partners in business. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way and how do they find you?
Yeah, they could visit tedkrealestate.com. They could also visit me on Instagram at tedkrealestate.
I love it. So with that in mind, we are once again sitting in studio. We always try to bring our amazing trifectas together, always talking about mortgage and real estate, the market, insurance, investing. So with that, stay tuned for our final guest.